What if I told you that in 1966, a small-town Chevrolet dealer created a machine so dangerous, so revolutionary, that it could have changed American automotive history forever? This isn't about another muscle car with a big V8. This is about the car that was literally built to destroy the legendary Shelby GT 350, and it almost succeeded. The Chevrolet Corvair Yenko Stinger. A name that sends chills down the spine of anyone who truly understands racing history. While everyone was obsessing over horsepower wars and quarter-mile times, one visionary saw something different. He saw America's answer to the Porsche 911, hiding in plain sight in Chevrolet's most controversial car. But here's what's absolutely mind-blowing. This wasn't some factory project backed by millions of dollars. This was one man's obsession that nearly toppled the king of American road racing. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why automotive historians call this the greatest what-if story in American motorsports. Don Yenko wasn't just another car dealer. This man was a racing legend who saw opportunities where others saw problems. While most people looked at the Corvair and saw Ralph Nader's unsafe at any speed controversy, Yenko saw something entirely different. He saw a lightweight rear-engine platform with four-wheel independent suspension, characteristics that made the Porsche 911 a legend. But here's where the story gets absolutely insane. Yenko didn't just want to build a fast car, he wanted to build a Shelby killer. The Shelby GT 350 was dominating SCCA racing, and Yenko was tired of watching Ford take all the glory. He had a plan so audacious, so perfectly calculated, that it would either make him a legend or destroy his reputation forever. Picture this. It's 1965, and the Camaro doesn't even exist yet. General Motors has nothing to compete with the Mustang in the pony car wars, and certainly nothing to challenge Shelby's racing dominance. Most GM executives were focused on big, heavy muscle cars. But Yenko? He was thinking like a European engineer trapped in an American businessman's body. The second-generation Corvair had just launched, and it was a revelation. Gone were the handling quirks of the first generation. This new Corvair was a legitimate sports car platform, 2,400 pounds of pure potential, with a rear-mounted flat-six engine and suspension geometry that would make Ferdinand Porsche jealous. But Yenko's masterstroke wasn't just recognizing the potential, it was understanding exactly what needed to be done to unlock it. While other tuners were throwing bigger engines at heavier cars, Yenko was about to prove that sometimes the most revolutionary approach is also the most logical one. Now, here's where most people think they know the story. They assume Yenko just bolted on some performance parts and called it a day. They couldn't be more wrong. What Yenko did next was so methodical, so perfectly engineered that it reads like a masterclass in automotive development. To compete in SCCA production racing, Yenko needed to build at least 100 identical cars. This wasn't a one-off custom job. This was a full production run that had to meet strict racing regulations while being street legal. The challenge was enormous, but Yenko's approach was pure genius. He started with the Corvair Corsa, the sportiest variant Chevrolet offered. The Corsa came with a 1.6 4-cubic-inch flat-six producing 140 horsepower naturally aspirated, or 180 with a turbocharger. Most tuners would have grabbed the turbo version, but Yenko made a calculated decision that proved his engineering brilliance. He chose the naturally aspirated engine. Why? Because Yenko understood something that most people missed. Reliability under racing conditions was more important than peak power numbers. The naturally aspirated engine could be modified more extensively without the complexity and potential failure points of forced induction. This decision alone shows why Yenko was operating on a completely different level than his competitors. The transformation process was methodical and brutal. First, out came the rear seats. This was now a two-seat sports car, period. Then, Yenko's team completely reimagined the suspension. The Corvair's independent setup was already advanced for an American car, but Yenko knew it needed to be perfect. New springs and shocks went on all four corners, specifically tuned to minimize body roll while maintaining the compliance needed for racing over curbs and through chicanes. The geometry was adjusted to optimize tire contact patches during hard cornering. This wasn't just about making the car lower or stiffer, this was precision engineering focused on lap times. But the real genius was in the details that most people never see. Yenko sourced a larger master cylinder from a Cadillac to improve braking performance. He installed a positraction rear differential for better traction out of corners. Every modification had a specific purpose, and every purpose was focused on one goal: beating the Shelby GT 350 on the racetrack. But wait, we haven't even talked about the most incredible part yet. Yenko didn't just build one version of the Stinger. He created a complete performance hierarchy that would make modern car manufacturers jealous. And the top-tier version? It produced numbers that will absolutely blow your mind. This is where Yenko's business genius matched his engineering brilliance. He created a 5-stage system that allowed customers to choose exactly how much performance they wanted and how much they were willing to pay for it. Stage 1 was the entry point at $3,450, about $32,000 in today's money. For that price, you got the suspension modifications, the braking upgrades, and a mildly tuned version of the flat 6 producing 160 horsepower. That might not sound like much today, but remember, this was in a 2,400-pound car with near-perfect weight distribution. The power-to-weight ratio was already competitive with much more expensive European sports cars. Stage 2 stepped things up significantly for $3,800. New camshaft, revised pistons, higher compression ratio, bumping the power to 190 horsepower. But here's the detail that shows Yenko's attention to the complete package. Stage 2 cars also got a full custom instrument cluster. This wasn't just about more power, it was about creating a complete performance experience. Stage 3 is where things got serious. At $4,350, you got ported cylinder heads, forged pistons, and 220 horsepower. To put that in perspective, the Shelby GT 350 produced 306 horsepower, but it also weighed about 800 pounds more than the Stinger. The power-to-weight ratios were getting very close, and the Stinger's superior weight distribution was starting to show real advantages on technical racetracks. Stage 4 was the full race preparation, $5,000 for a stripped-down, track-focused machine producing 240 horsepower. These cars were built for one purpose: winning races. Interior trim was removed, safety equipment was installed, and every component was optimized for competition use. But here's where the legend gets murky and absolutely fascinating. There are persistent rumors of a Stage 5 variant, a mythical version with an even larger engine and fuel injection, supposedly producing 250 horsepower. Documentation is scarce, but the few people who claim to have seen these cars describe performance that was simply otherworldly for 1966. Now, you're probably thinking this sounds too good to be true. A small-town Chevrolet dealer creating a Shelby killer that could have changed automotive history? Surely the racing results would prove whether this was genius or just marketing hype. And the truth? It's more complicated and more fascinating than you could possibly imagine. The SCCA racing database tells a story that's both triumphant and tragic. Yenko Stingers competed in 22 documented races, securing first place in 3 events and third place in 2 others. On paper, that might not seem dominant, but you have to understand the context. These cars were going up against established racing programs with factory backing, professional drivers, and unlimited development budgets. The Shelby GT 350S had the full support of Ford Motor Company and Carroll Shelby's legendary racing organization. The Stingers were essentially privateer efforts, built in a small Pennsylvania dealership and campaigned by enthusiast drivers. But when conditions were right, on technical tracks where handling mattered more than straight-line speed, the Stingers were absolutely devastating. Their rear engine layout provided incredible traction out of slow corners. The lightweight construction meant they could brake later and carry more speed through technical sections. And the flat 6 engine's low center of gravity kept the cars planted when other vehicles were struggling with weight transfer. The real tragedy is that we'll never know what could have been. Just as the Stinger was hitting its stride, General Motors introduced the Camaro in 1967. Suddenly, Yenko had access to a platform that could accept big block V8 engines, and the focus shifted to traditional American muscle car development. The Corvair, meanwhile, was dying in the marketplace. Ralph Nader's safety crusade had damaged its reputation, and buyers were flocking to conventional front-engine designs. By 1969, Chevrolet discontinued the Corvair entirely, ending one of the most innovative chapters in American automotive history. But here's the question that keeps automotive historians awake at night. What if Chevrolet had continued developing the Corvair? What if Yenko's vision had been embraced by the factory? What if America had pursued the rear-engine sports car path instead of abandoning it for muscle car excess? Consider this mind-bending possibility. If Chevrolet had continued developing the Corvair platform through the 1,970 seconds and beyond, America might have had its own version of the Porsche 911's evolutionary story. The 911 started with similar specifications to the Corvair: rear engine, flat six, lightweight construction, and look what it became over 5 decades of continuous development. Imagine a world where the Corvair Stinger evolved alongside the 911. Picture fuel injection arriving in the early 1,970 seconds, turbocharging in the late 1,970 seconds, all-wheel drive in the 1,980 seconds. The Corvair's unique layout could have supported hybrid technology decades before it became mainstream. The flat six configuration was perfect for electric motor integration. Instead, America abandoned this path entirely. We chose the muscle car route, then got caught completely off guard by the fuel crises of the 1970s. European manufacturers like Porsche continued refining their rear-engine sports cars while American companies scrambled to downsize their gas-guzzling monsters. The few Yenko Stingers that survive today are worth serious money. A 1966 example sold for $62,500 at auction in 2022, and prices are climbing as collectors recognize their historical significance. But their real value isn't monetary. These cars represent a road not taken, a glimpse of what American automotive engineering could have achieved if we'd been brave enough to think differently. Don Yenko proved that American ingenuity could match European sophistication. He showed that you didn't need a massive engine to create devastating performance. He demonstrated that sometimes the most revolutionary approach is also the most logical one. The Chevrolet Corvair Yenko Stinger stands as proof that one person's vision can challenge an entire industry's assumptions. In just over 100 cars, Don Yenko created a legend that still influences automotive thinking today. He built America's Porsche 911 before anyone realized we needed one. But here's what I want you to think about as you click that like button and subscribe for more incredible automotive stories. How many other revolutionary ideas are sitting right in front of us, waiting for someone with Yenko's vision to recognize their potential? How many times do we dismiss the unconventional solution because it doesn't fit our preconceived notions of what success should look like? The next time you see something that everyone else calls impossible, remember the Corvair Yenko Stinger. Remember that sometimes the most powerful weapon against the establishment isn't more of the same. It's something completely different that nobody saw coming. What other forgotten automotive legends do you want to hear about? Drop your suggestions in the comments below, and don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the cars that changed everything. Until next time, keep questioning everything you think you know about automotive history.